Hey there, this is Alex Volkov. Welcome to a special edition of ThursdAI. On November 18th, Google released Gemini 3 and the Anti-Gravity IDE and followed up with Nano Banana Pro just a few short days later. I was able to record a conversation with a few Google folks about this crazy week they had during the AI Engineer Code Summit in New York. The following are two conversations. First with Kevin Hou, lead product and engineering and the Anti-Gravity team at Google DeepMind, his second time on the podcast. We chatted about the Anti-Gravity IDE, how the team thinks about coding, primitives like Agent Manager and artifacts, and shortcomings of existing models. Then, I had the pleasure to chat with both Ammar Reshi, lead design product, and Kat Kampf, Vibe Code PM at the awesome AI Studio team at Google. Ammar and Kat just came off the stage at the AI Engineer, where they did a lot of live coding demos, and we covered Gemini 3 new capabilities, vibe coding, Nano Banana Pro, and much, much more. I really enjoyed both these conversations, and I hope you enjoyed them as well. A quick reminder that ThursdAI is sponsored by Weights and Biases, and if you like this content, please subscribe on ThursdAI.news to never miss an episode. And also, the conversations were recorded just in front of the doors to the conference itself. So you will hear a little bit of background noise, but I hope this puts you at the conference as though you were there. And now I give you Kevin Hou.
Oh, I mean, I just replaced what I had before at DeepMind, or at Anti-Gravity.
Yeah.
I lead our product engineering team.
Alrighty. I'm here with Kevin Hou, who leads the product engineering team at Anti-Gravity, which is a new product offering, a new IDE, an agentic IDE from Google based on VS Code, and just dropped this week, like very, very fresh. So I'm very, very surprised that you're here.
I am also surprised that I'm here. I don't even know if I'm fully here.
How was that? First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
I played with Anti-Gravity. I have a bunch of feedback for you, a bunch of questions about the approaches that you guys took.
Yeah.
That's different than anything out there. I have a few questions about how this differentiates between the other coding things within Google.
Yeah.
But first of all, congrats on this crazy,
you.
probably
Thank you.
a crazy week, as you guys were part of the release of Gemini 3 and Nano Banana Pro, and Anti-Gravity was a big thing. How was this week? How was this week for you?
The week was surreal.
Yeah.
I mean, there were a handful of surreal moments. Also, thanks for having me on. I know
Always a pleasure.
we were back on this 6 months ago maybe.
Yeah,
something like that. And this past week has been nuts. Like, we started with Gemini 3 in conjunction with Anti-Gravity. That was on Tuesday. So we had the whole 6 a.m. release type of thing.
Wow,
all
yeah.
the excitement. Everyone's in office. It's a ton of fun. Released it out into the world, and quite frankly, this is my first time shipping a Google product. And so
Okay.
I had no idea what to expect with regard to feedback, demand. And so I've learned a lot this past week. It's been exciting. The team is thrilled. We've seen a lot of good usage, a lot of good feedback. So team is pretty pumped. And then we followed on with a very fast follow with Nano Banana Pro.
Yes.
And that's unlocked a whole new world, both for Google, for Gemini users, but then also just in the coding product.
Tell me about that.
I mean, one of the coolest use cases, so the magical moment, the thing that was like, oh shoot, I think we have something quite cool.
Yeah.
This was like probably a month and a half, maybe 2 months ago. We tested out finally the end-to-end of give me a prompt, plan out what you're doing, collect some feedback, right, the artifact system.
Yes.
Collect some feedback, and then when it actually executed, it generated images for the app, tested itself by opening it in the browser, clicked around, showed that yes, indeed, those images got rendered, they got used in the app correctly, and then gave us a walkthrough, a screen recording walkthrough, and said, hey, I built your feature, here's the PR. And that to us was like light bulb moment. This is magical.
Magical.
So really, I think one of the coolest parts about Anti-Gravity is that combination of multimodality.
Yeah.
One of the beautiful parts about Google, or what DeepMind has been able to do with this Gemini model, it's so general.
Yeah.
Right? It's really good at text. It's really good at images.
Video is incredible.
Video is incredible.
I think state of the art with MMU Pro and like a bunch of others. Yeah.
The multimodality is like leaps and bounds ahead of what it was before, and you combine that with the capabilities, computer use, for example.
Yeah.
You put all these things together, and now suddenly you have a product that, frankly, has never been technically possible before this. And so you think about it that way, and it's like, holy cow, 2025 it's been nuts.
This week has been nuts.
This week has been nuts.
This week has been
And so
nuts.
I'm really happy that people are able to experience it, to try it out, and thankful that we have this opportunity to come to AI Engineer Summit 3 days after launch
and close it out.
And
this is your third appearance on AI Engineer?
Fourth appearance, actually.
Fourth appearance on AI Engineer.
Hopefully no one's tired of me.
I'm very much looking forward towards you showing a QR code and saying, this is my Venmo.
Don't spoil it for this. I didn't have time to come up with new jokes.
Yeah.
there's going to be new people here.
New people here.
Yeah. I'll send
Fresh
you.
wallets.
Yes.
Yeah.
You ran through a bunch of features of Anti-Gravity super
yeah.
quick. I want to like cover them and how you got to them and like what's the differentiation in the time that we have, and we have some time. The first and the main thing, I think, is the agent manager.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on? I feel significantly more at comfort talking to the agents across different folders via the agent manager than via the side pane.
Yeah.
The side pane is the prevalent, way that people have talked to
It's what people
coding
have done for
agents.
ages.
Yeah, since at least 2 years
For a
ago.
year. 12 months.
Yeah, and so now I have this inbox, agent manager.
Yeah.
It shows me the unread stuff.
Yeah.
Tell me about like that breakthrough. Like this is
Totally.
like a really innovative thing that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear from you how
So-
that came about.
Totally. I mean, all of this stuff, I will say, it comes from the model, right? Every single iteration of the product, whether it be Google DeepMind products or other products out there, they have all stemmed from some sort of model breakthrough, some sort of new capability, right? And the pattern with Gemini 3, we had the privilege of being able to use it for a couple months internally. We noticed it was really good at long-running tasks. It was really good at this whole artifact thing, this multimodality of communicating your message.
Yeah.
The comparison would be, if I'm in the editor, I'm seeing a raw dump of conversation, but I'm also seeing kind of a raw dump of code. Like the entire screen is just information overload.
Yes.
And so we saw that Gemini 3 was able to synthesize this information much better. So instead of looking at the raw information, you're looking at this like a bridged version. So you can be able to take a step back. When you take a step back, it allows you to free up a lot of that UI space for things that are maybe a bit more on the orchestration level, as opposed to nitty-gritty, I'm looking at every character. Diffs.
Basically.
I mean,
I'm
you're
so tired
not
of
really
fucking
looking at
looking
diffs,
at
exactly.
diffs, man.
You'd rather
This
look at a
is-
screenshot
This
of
is
the
the
difference,
unlock.
right?
Yes, I'd much rather look at the screenshot
Exactly.
or a video recording,
Exactly.
which is incredible.
Exactly.
So let's maybe talk about artifacts just for a second. Let's define what artifacts are.
So an artifact is anything that is dynamically generated by the model
Yeah.
to either communicate something to you or to store for itself later.
And it's not a file on my file system?
It's a
not like
file on your file system, and in many ways it is kind of like it's a memory bank for short-term memory, long-term memory. But I think the key here is it's dynamic. The dynamicism of it is the key unlock. So if you're building a website, an artifact can be a screen recording. But if you're making a change to an API, it's not going to be a screen recording. It's probably going to be a sequence of curl requests, and maybe the responses for those.
Yeah.
An artifact in the most typical form will probably be an implementation plan. So you ask it to do something, it'll tell you, hey, I'm going to do this.
It will literally be a checklist with sub-checklists
Exactly.
that it checks off as it goes along.
And I don't know if you've gotten to this point, but the model is capable of also deciding what open questions there are. So you'll have a box up top, I'll show it in my presentation, that says, hey, alert, you need to answer, it's kind of like deep research. There's like 3 questions that you need to answer before I get going.
That's so cool, I didn't get that
And it
yet.
can intelligently decide, I have enough information, I can just proceed, small changes, or hey, you underspecified your prompt, I need more before I get going.
So there's an artifact of a task list, and then there's an artifact of a walkthrough.
Of a walkthrough. So walkthrough comes at the end.
Yeah.
So walkthrough is, I've completed my task, here's everything I did, not a diff, accompanied by a diff, of course. How can I back up and prove to you, the user, that what I did was correct?
Yep.
For front end, this makes sense, it's a screenshot.
Yes.
For back end, it might be a set of unit tests. It can take a variety of shapes.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of it. The model, as it grows and as the intelligence gets better, it will get better at deciding what artifacts to generate, whether or not to send you a push notification, whether or not to alert you.
Yeah.
These are the sorts of things that we baked into artifacts.
I love that.
Oh, and I have one more thing.
Yes, please.
Because
Yeah.
I love this part.
Yes.
I love Google Docs. I'm not a Google shill. I'm not trying to be a Google shill, but I like Google Docs. And we took inspiration from this for the feedback cycle. So when you interact with a colleague, you're not constantly looking over their shoulder to see a raw feed of what they're doing. In the very same way, when you produce an artifact, when the agent produces an artifact, you review that artifact using comments. You leave a comment, a batch of comments, you say, looks good to me, or hey, make changes. And the agent is still running, but you're able to fold in at any time these comments, and the agent is smart enough to be able to fold it into its execution, so that you can kind of tailor it, right?
The UI is very interesting. I played with the comments thing.
Yeah.
I really love it as a
It's
concept.
so cool.
Because there's like tasks, and I can leave a comment on one task or a series
Anything,
of tasks.
right?
And then I have to like commit my comments, and I have like one more opportunity to give it like one more thought.
Yeah.
So it will take my like inline ideas, but also like a general thing that I want to do.
Exactly.
And then it will just like, oh, okay, I want to use Tailwind instead of the raw CSS. That was great.
And it can really help. And so to answer your original question, this is a whole new way of working.
Yes. It's the PM way of working.
It's the PM way of working. Got a bunch of engineers going off and writing the code.
I felt like a PM or engineering manager.
Crazy.
Like, I don't care about the diffs as long as it works.
Yeah.
And I know if it works if it shows me a screenshot or video recording.
Yep.
And
that's the source of truth.
That's a very big unlock. And obviously the Gemini model itself is like very good.
None of this is possible without a model that can actually do these things.
Yeah.
And so you chain these things together, and now all of a sudden, artifacts need to be interacted with in this inbox because you can do more things at once.
Yeah.
And when your touch point is a review, it's a very spiky workload. And so you'll go off, you can get a coffee, or you can work on something else, or you can use the editor like you normally use an editor.
Yeah.
You just get notified when you need attention.
The notification part is something that I'm missing. And obviously, you were speaking in the context of anti-gravity, but I'm testing anti-gravity. I'm testing the other tools. I'm testing the CLIs as well. I want an agent manager across all my agents, including deep research, including deep think from Google. Like I want like a one place where all my AI minions, my helpers, my extensions of Alex,
I don't know if I can use that word, but
they will basically let me know when they need attention, and otherwise go and tell me what they're about to do. So I think you guys are on a very, very good path.
Yeah.
I would love that to be exposed in some way, to send me a text message.
Yeah.
Because when I'm away from my computer, I want to get
you want the text.
I want like a Telegram API that I can plug it into to start another task automatically that I have queued up. Like I want that everywhere. And so I'm very happy that you guys push this. And
all
I think
in due
that
time.
Yeah, I think that there needs to be a standard of like how we interact with agents asynchronously.
Yeah.
So that'd be great. Definitely will follow up. I have a bunch of feedback on this. But the Chrome integration, man.
Oh yeah.
I used MCPs before to run Chrome, and that was great with Stagehand, like a bunch of other stuff. But this one, Anti-Gravity comes with a Chrome extension of its own, right?
Yeah.
And then it's able to not only touch things, which is great with computer use, but the recording of the video, man, that's such a huge unlock. Cool. It was crazy.
So cool.
Tell me about like the integration with Chrome, the computer use, the clicking.
So I'll tell you some secrets in the sense that we're at Google. Chrome is also a Google product.
Yes, sir.
We learned a lot about what we could do with Chrome. From purely infrastructure, product, integrations, what APIs are available. All this stuff is public. They're a very good team. They make these things publicly available, but it's different when you sit next to them. The other key unlock, and I'll talk about this a bit in the talk, computer use is truly the frontier. It is one of the frontiers of the model capabilities.
Yep.
And that team sits 50 feet away from us. And so you think about things that were possible were not maybe obvious, or there were issues on both sides. We weren't using computer use in the way that the training distribution allowed it. Yeah. And in maybe the inverse way, they had gaps on their side that were only revealed when you actually have a product that you're feeling.
Integrated with computers.
You're feeling the product and actually using it day to day, you start noticing things.
Yes.
And so we rolled out an MVP of this internally, or more of a proof of concept. And we've been iterating with that team for the past couple of months to basically make sure that Gemini 3 and every model that we release going forward, these two things can play nicely. And so that was on the capability side where the unlock comes from. And then a lot of the product sort of ideas or things that you would notice, the features, they fall out of that newfound capability.
Yes.
And so the screen recording, it's awesome.
Awesome.
And being able to annotate, you can annotate the screenshots.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah. So think of it, everything is a primitive. Artifact is a primitive.
Yeah.
You can either have a text-based primitive, you can have an image-based primitive. If it's
I
image,
can tell it around this area, fix this button.
Drag. You just gotta click. All right, so we gotta work on our user education a bit,
yeah.
but just drag. It's like Figma.
Wow. Okay,
I'll show you a screenshot on the.
That's definitely great.
It's awesome.
Dude, the video itself, I think is such a huge unlock. Again, I'll keep saying this because I think people don't get it. I even recorded a short Instagram story. I'll send it to you. The agent itself can now review not a static screenshot, not a DOM signature of HTML, a literal usage of this product. Do you have a name for this agent? Is it like Chrome? Like, is there like a official thing? How can I refer this to?
Just call it. Yeah. So computer use is the sub agent.
Yeah.
That controls the browser. Everything is just the anti-gravity agent.
Yeah. Okay. AGY. AGY was achieved internally. I love that.
Yeah, you like that. Little Easter egg.
When it dragged the thing across my screen, when it did the dragging motion, I was like, what the? I didn't know
it's
it
crazy.
could drag.
Yeah.
I didn't know like the extent of the
stuff.
It can
drag, it can scroll, it can, it can do everything.
Yeah.
Do a lot of things that the user can do.
Yeah.
I will say, it also has access to JavaScript. So if there's something that it feels like it cannot interact with, it'll just run scripts. It'll run commands for you.
So we covered the agent manager. We covered Gemini 3. We covered the browser integration, artifacts, and the thing. What else is in there that's like nobody else has yet?
Man.
Because I think a lot of it will be copied all over.
Oh man, what is there?
I know you're probably like in your head like, did we release this thing?
Yeah, I'm like, there's a million things happening.
Can I even tell you?
Uh,
Let's talk about the chat interface itself.
Yeah, there is a new chat interface.
Yeah.
I will say that. Because we know that we can zoom out a bit more, you'll notice that the chat interface is much cleaner.
Yes, it is.
It divides itself, it's almost like self-aware. It divides itself into chunks of work. So internally, this is called like a task boundary.
Yeah.
It'll know when it moves from task 1 to task 2 to task 3.
I also love the dual call UI that it shows me very clearly like which tools are used.
Much cleaner.
Clean.
Another awesome integration was Google Search.
Yeah.
We are now using AI overviews and Google Search inside of the agent. That's been great. You'll stumble upon this if you ask it who won the MVP of the World Series this past year.
Okay.
It'll use Google. There's little things like that that also are nice. One other thing, it is related to artifacts, but artifacts, again, think of it as a dynamic primitive. This dynamic primitive can also be stored for later. I think this is something that is perhaps a little bit undersold. It takes time for you to discover.
Like agents.md type thing where you
kind
tell
of.
the agent?
You have like a knowledge base, and that knowledge base can be contributed to, edited by the agent. And the way that we've prompted and trained the agent to do this, if it generates an architecture diagram, it'll save that. If it generates, one of the cool examples that I showed off at launch was I gave it an API key and a URL to the docs, did the Google search, read all the pages, and then it started running the curl commands for me, because it can do that, verifying the schema of the output. And then it just shoved that into a doc for use later. And so next time you ask it for an API, it doesn't have to go rederive all these things. And so that system has been quite powerful. So we've seen a meaningful uplift in certainly latency. It allows you to kind of shortcut things.
Yeah. Kevin, I asked this question the other Google folks that I interviewed before, and I keep asking this question. It's great, new models get released, capabilities are incredible. Gemini 3 is incredible UI, for example, for vibe coding is like a step change. What is still missing in your eyes from this model capabilities? Which capabilities do you think we're not there yet in agentic-wise?
I think we are still a bit away from fully unlocking and accessing institutional knowledge. This has been a battle I think every company, every startup has battled. How do you know? It's not what you build anymore. It's a bit more on the how you build it and why you make the technical decisions that you do. Because you could build an app in 50 different ways, right? It doesn't mean that all 50 are correct. You have to figure out what works for the user, what works for the company inside of a large code base. For example, at Google, we are deploying Anti-Gravity for probably the biggest code base in human history. How does it understand and make sense of the vast amount of files here, the vast amount of docs? A lot of things are codified in docs, written in documentation. And so I think that is still a missing piece, which is we have the browser, we can reach towards these things, but we're not quite at the level where we can do research reliably over that scale of corpus.
I see.
So that's definitely a missing piece. I think we want to move into, we have clear, maybe shorter term gaps. We don't support mobile development for computer use. We don't do desktop applications. There's a number of different modalities that perhaps we should expand to. But I mean, we have kind of the basic building blocks. My hope is that this artifacts concept, I know it will get copied. I know people will do this. It's a great pattern.
Adopted. Like if VS Code is the base foundation for open source, I think this is a great thing.
It's a great pattern.
To adopt.
Exactly, so it's a great pattern. And I guess my point here is, I think just this pushes the boundary. You're no longer nitty gritty micromanaging an agent. You're supervising a bunch of agents and they're giving you artifacts, right? That is a base building block that I hope, legacy-wise, we kind of lead the way on this pattern. And hopefully people build on top of this, improve it. There's probably other types of artifacts that I'm missing, right?
I didn't plan for this to be my last thing to you, but OpenAI contributed the OpenAI SDK that everybody adopted like super quick, and now every company has like an OpenAI SDK. Then Anthropic gave MCP, and like everybody started doing MCP. I'm really hoping this is also going to be like an API-able, pluginable,
We'd be flattered.
accessible thing that I'd be able to like use the agent manager, but also see other managers, like other agents
Yeah,
in there.
yeah,
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Like a unified inbox of the agent
Totally.
task across
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, we do support models from other providers.
Yeah, that's true.
So we have Gemini 3 in there. We've got, obviously, the suite
Sonnet
of Google
4.5.
products. We got Sonnet 4.5.
And GPT-OSS.
GPT-OSS.
Yes.
So we got all three.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to explore how that would work with other agents. I haven't really thought about that before.
Yeah. All right, Kevin, I know you have the talk to get you ready.
I got to get in the mindset.
Thank you so much, and hopefully we'll see more coming from Anti-Gravity.
It's always a pleasure hanging out. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, thank you.
And now I give you Ammar and Kat from the Google AI Studio team.
And we're supposedly we're live. What's up, guys? So we're doing this ThursdAI, not on Thursday recording, so out of distribution recording. I'm here with Ammar and Kat from Google, and I would love for you guys to maybe introduce yourselves, and then we can chat a bit about the releases that you guys have on this incredible AI week, and maybe the talk that you just gave at the AI Engineer conference in New York that we're all part of, and a few more details that I would love to hear about bananas. How's that?
Well, you're dressed for the occasion, which I love.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Ammar, how about you go first?
Yeah, sounds good. So I'm Ammar, lead product and design on AI Studio, and I get to work alongside this amazing team, including Kat.
Yeah, I'm Kat. I am the PM for Vibe Coding in AI Studio.
You are the PM for vibe coding.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If I told you a year ago, hey, Kat,
Yeah.
I'm going to try to hire you as a PM for vibe coding.
I mean, to be fair, our early ideas were kind of brewing about a year ago now.
Yeah.
So I've been on AI Studio just over a year and a half.
Nice.
And I think the first idea for what's become our app gallery in AI Studio, I probably wrote the PRD last September. So it is almost a year of vibe coding and vibe.
Wow. First of all, I'm very surprised that this whole thing caught as
Yeah.
much as it did.
Yeah.
And companies like Lovable and Replit and just like a million of new people that have nothing to do with code before can just do so and build very interesting things. And very, very curious to hear about how vibe coding works within AI Studio as well. But maybe let's start with what is AI Studio. I know my audience probably knows as well. I use it, I would say, every day. But how do you describe it if you know the person never got exposed to this?
Yeah, so I usually say AI Studio is our home for builders and developers to get started with the Gemini API. So you can get your API key super easily. You can also chat with the newest models. So we have Gemini 3 in there, we have Nano Banana Pro in there. And then the third new capability is this vibe coding experience. And what we're really focused on there is making it really easy to create AI-powered apps. So as easy as it can be to create a base website on other platforms, what we lean into is making it easy to build with the Gemini API, especially at the rate of innovation that we're just pushing out new tools and new models all the time. We want it to be as easy as we release Nano Banana Pro and you say, create me an app that uses it to edit images, right? And with one click, you get it on launch day. And I think that's the really powerful thing about AI Studio is we want to make it easy to build with Gemini.
You mentioned easy to get an API key. And I specifically remember Peter Levels bugging Logan with the recording of how long it takes, how many clicks it takes to get an API key. And then you guys did like a lot of work, and now I think it's one click away?
Now if you're a new user, you automatically get a key granted to you.
You don't even have to create it.
You don't have to create it. So a lot of, I think that's another good point, which is we pay a lot of attention to our users, social media, taking all that feedback, and iterate pretty actively. So it's been a fun few months of just honestly making the experience a lot better.
I also will say, I will shout out to the DeepMind team. I sometimes get like early access to some models, and my go-to is AI.dev. AI.dev for folks, like the shortcut. This is my definite go-to, and I really enjoyed the whole experience. I got thrown off away, the playground got hidden, and now there's like a whole vibe coding there. I was like, where did I send my chats? I don't want like a whole app right now, but it's great to see that it's now there. And I think this is part of what you guys also talked on stage about. And apparently you did like a bunch of live demos, which is on a Friday. And I think the rumor goes that, like, you don't ship on a Friday, you don't do live demos on events. So how did that go? Can you guys tell us like what kind of stuff did you build?
Yeah, we're getting off a pretty busy launch week, as you know. So Gemini 3, Nano Banana Pro. And what that's also meant is this week we ended up having to do a couple of live streams to talk through that. And just by nature of doing that, we've been making a bunch of demos all week. And so to continue that trend, we thought, why not get back on a flight, Mountain View, show up in New York, and do that again on stage today. So it's been really fun. But I think our perspective is honestly, the best way to see these model capabilities is to show you what you can build with them.
Yeah.
And like Kat was saying, it's so easy to just say, I want an app with Nano Banana Pro in AI Studio, and it will figure out how to hook up the API, use the SDK properly, and suddenly you have these amazing creative apps that you would otherwise have to like dig through docs to figure out how to get them started.
And how's the hosting going? I think somebody built an app and shared with me a link. And this link sits within AI Studio. What happens to a person that wants to maybe keep this going on the web? Will you guys host it for them? How does that work?
Yeah, so you can deploy to Google Cloud. Try to make it as easy as possible to do that as well, but more improvements coming soon. But yeah, so you can one-click deploy. It'll be in a Cloud Run container, and then you have full control ultimately. So if you want to update the URL and continue to scale it up or anything like that, you have that option. But it's also super easy to share within AI Studio and not have to worry about attaching an API key for most models and things like that.
Oh, this is actually interesting. I didn't even think about who's going to pay for the inference if I build an app and share it with someone.
Exactly, yeah.
So are you guys putting the bill completely there?
No, so if you, in AI Studio, if you share, it uses your free quota. So if I share my app with you, it'll use your AI Studio free quota, but then when you deploy to Cloud Run, we try to make it very clear, attach your API key.
Yeah,
you may incur charges. Hopefully people are using your app and you do.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Ammar, you're leading the design, and I looked at some of the improvements there. Specifically, I noticed on the scroll bar, there's like little things now that I can scroll back to chats, whatever. Yeah. There's a few fairly innovative things in there that maybe people overlook. What are some of your favorites? What are some of the things that you fought and wanted to ship, and people should notice that they don't notice?
Yeah, I love the scroll bar one.
I love that one. It's so good.
That one was a really fun story too, because we were vibe coding it. We were trying out these crazy ideas for the scroll bar. Yeah. We made a bunch of demos in AI Studio, because if you make that in a Figma mock, you don't understand exactly how it's going to work.
Yeah, you can't feel it.
You can't feel it. And I think engineers would look at that and they're like, what the heck are you doing? Why are you redesigning the scroll bar? But that one was one of my favorites. I think the other ones, I love the I'm feeling lucky button on the vibe coding page. So if you hit that, it figures out which AI chips to use and even comes up with a prompt. So that's a really fun way for people to see actually what are all the cool models that I could be tying together in my app and make something creative. And it's also the little things in the vibe coding experience. So when you're waiting for an app to load, you now have these cards that are actually Gemini powered, and they understand the app you're trying to build, and they give you ideas on how you can extend your app.
I think I saw this. I didn't really get what's going on there. How does it know?
The agent knows everything.
Let's scroll back. Sorry to interrupt, but let's scroll back, even 2 years. Those experiences usually are pre-baked. And those experiences, usually people sit there, PMs talk to some folks, and come up with some stuff, and then they have to translate them to every language, whatever. That's also a big part. And then it's how does it... So does the Gemini powered fully while it bakes? It does other stuff.
It's giving you ideas. And we're going to be doubling down on that. What are other ways that Gemini can just kind of help you throughout the experience? Because the thing about vibe coding is you have to wait for 2 to 3 minutes sometimes, and then you get something that's not what you wanted. So why can't we change the way you get that feedback earlier? Teasing you a little bit there, but there'll be some stuff that we're exploring around that kind of thing. Yeah.
I love that. So vibe coding is a big part now, and folks can host and share their ideas. And I think it's a very interesting thing to see the evolution of AI Studio, and also the evolution of Google in terms of how many developer tools and less maybe techie developer tools you guys are offering, right? And I think that I would love to chat with you guys about Gemini's abilities, because I think multimodal is state-of-the-art multimodal on pretty much everything. Obviously, vibe coding, the first thing that people see is the UI. And previously LLMs were not that great at UIs. Most of them replicated pretty much the same UIs. Gemini 3 is not the same. There's a very significant jump. I heard Michele from Replit described it as a step function change in how Gemini understands and builds UIs. Talk to me about this a little bit. How do you see this? How did it happen, if you can mention?
It really is a step function change. I think we were just so tired of seeing all this purple gradients.
Purple gradients. Purple gradients.
The bold header text, So I think it's been really cool to see that there's some real design sensibilities here. If you mention typography, it can do that for you. Animations, it's really good at coming up with. The SVG illustrations and drawings are so much better now as well. So you get some really rich looking experiences. Shader animations as well, it can do. So shader math can be really complex, but it can animate all sorts of blobs and things like that, and you can make some really stellar landing pages. So I think the design changes are definitely huge. And the other thing that we noticed too, and Kat had a great demo of this on stage, which is you can just clone UI. So we cloned our own AI Studio UI to iterate on AI Studio. And this gets really meta because the app that it built in AI Studio is also connected to Gemini. So now you have a working AI Studio inside of AI Studio.
Love it.
Connected to Gemini, which could also build another app for using AI Studio. So you can just keep the loop going. So yeah, no, I think the modeling team spent a lot of time improving the training set there to make sure. And this is one of the biggest pieces of feedback, right? Yeah. And I think they made a huge leap.
And I think the tagline we've been using for Gemini 3 is, bring anything to life. And I think the two parts of that really stand out from a capabilities perspective with this model is, one, the UI design, and we wanted it to be really easy to one-shot and create a website that looks beautiful, and I don't have to ping Ammar and be like, give me a good design prompt anymore. And I think the other thing is with the agentic tool use and making it, improving Gemini's capabilities for tool calling and function calling, that helps so much in products like Anti-Gravity, products like Cursor, where you're doing these complex agentic flows. I think those were two of our big pillars just to make it really easy to build things.
Yep. So would love to chat about generative UIs that just shipped as well. As a category change, would love to know. Those are not yet in AI Studio. The person vibe codes, not the Gemini vibe codes. But would love to hear from you as well, from the design perspective. What do you think about the fact that we just opened the door to AIs just in time building UIs for my request? So, it's kind of like vibe coding essentially, but I'm not sure who's vibe coding. Is Gemini or me vibe coding? We're doing this together. Is this like a collaboration? Could you speak about generative UIs just presented as a feature, and also you as a designer, how you think about this?
Yeah, I think this is getting back at to talk to the computer, we've had to design all these experiences to make it intuitive for people. And now I think what's really cool about this shift is the AI is kind of talking back at us, creating the interface we need to be able to talk back to it or to do specific functional changes. Yeah. And so I think that's really an interesting paradigm shift, which is I don't have to worry about designing the experience or building the right thing. Similarly, if you were using Terminal, you need to know exactly which commands to enter. You misspell one thing, it's a mistake, and it's over. And so now it's essentially that, right? It's what if the terminal could actually just return a beautiful, rich view of the directories that you want? Yeah. And you click the one you want, and it goes back and does the thing, right? So I think we're getting at this paradigm shift, which will just open the door to abstracting away necessarily all these unique app interfaces. So this gets back at what happens to smartphones and apps on smartphones that have all these very specific experiences if I can just essentially deploy agents that can work across them. Yeah. And it's returning one UI, one universal UI that can talk to all of these things. I think we're entering that era. It's the early days, but I'm pretty excited about it because I think it means it's a very different way to interact with things.
I think you were mentioning sort of the suggestions we give you within the AI Studio vibe coding experience. And I think that starts to hint at, in a very specific scenario, some of the power here where a vibe coder might be creating an e-commerce site, they might be creating a very complex app, it might just be a personal landing site, and we don't know, we know your prompt and that's it. So how can we tailor that UI experience to what you specifically are building? And so I think these suggestions that have awareness of your app, have awareness of your prompt, start to toe in there. And then I think it's just a long tail of opportunity here of really making it feel personalized to a user, because especially in a space like vibe coding where the spectrum of what people are building is so broad, and so tailoring that UI to each of those needs is, I think, a huge opportunity.
I want to talk about other capabilities. So Gemini 3 obviously is very good at multiple things. It's a general model, very good at multiple things. We saw the step changes in coding as well, and Terminal Bench, I believe, is either state-of-the-art or very, very close to state-of-the-art, and multimodal understanding on the input side. But then also on the output, you can generate beautiful websites. But then also you guys launched Nano Banana Pro, and I had Thor previously on the podcast, and he gave me this little banana as a token that I think is going to stay forever in my pocket just because it's really funny. And I was blown away. Yeah. What the hell is happening? I'm getting 8 megabyte huge file sizes
4K images,
of 4K images of infographics that are grounded in search, so they're truthful, and they're perfect in text. And I honestly was mind blown by the first time that I was able to experience kind of the infographic level. And I'm thinking, okay, who should I ask to come up with the design? Gemini with its like LLM powers, or Nano Banana, and then I can like send this image to Gemini to just build. What do you guys think? Who's more creative, Nano Banana or Gemini?
That's a good one. Well, you know, the beauty is that it is powered by Gemini 3.
It is powered by Gemini 3.
Under the hood, it is using the creativity of Gemini 3. I need to try more of that flow, though, of the mock-up from Nano Banana Pro into a Gemini 3 app.
I think the one thing that I love about getting code back is particularly, I feel like the strings that LLMs come up with for my apps are not always my vibe. It'll make sense within the prompt context, but I love just being able to edit those directly in code and not having to take a turn of being like, edit these strings to better fit this. So I feel like I'll, at least for now, always be code first, but we'll see.
Yeah. And how's Nano Banana Pro, we should say, because this is the new one. Nano Banana was out for a while. Nano Banana Pro, that's powered by Gemini 3. How is that tied into AI Studio? Can I directly just generate images only, and the vibe coding, can it like bring images in? Could you speak about like the integrations?
Yeah. I think the one thing right now is that AI Studio usually is fully, you have free quota, but TPUs are hot with all of our launches this week. So right now you add an API key, but then in our Playground interface, you can chat with the Nano Banana model, generate images, and then you can also build applications with it from the vibe coding experience. And we also have a gallery of sample apps, like Ammar demoed a comic book application that really gets at the strong text rendering capabilities. So you can explore all of those in AI Studio. And we allow you to test like input images and that editing flow, customize different parameters.
Yeah. And again, like Kat said, you basically can just go to the vibe coding page, ai.studio/build, ask for, I want to make an app with Nano Banana Pro that does this, hit enter, and boom, you have an app.
Tell me about kind of where the backend there sits. Is this sandboxed environments with like actual backend? Is it like front end only? Can you guys give me a little bit more detail about folks who kind of want to build, but they're not sure where this is hosted, and they're used to a traditional web dev flow where you have like maybe some Python backend, some JavaScript front end, and you host it on whatever, Vercel, Heroku, whatever.
Yeah, so right now, we announced this in the talk. We gave a spoiler that we've always been client-side apps, React apps, and very, very soon we will have support for full stack applications. But I think in terms of the experience, what we really want is us to match an app to your intent. So we don't want you to have to think about, do I want a backend, do I want a database? We just want you to think about, I want an app that does X, Y, Z, and we build the right stack around it. So that's where we want to head directly. Expansion of capabilities coming soon that we're super excited about.
I think, first of all, how cool is your job to be able to just build demos?
It's so fun.
It's really fun. And second of all, you're building demos even with the previous model. So obviously you have some internal checkpoints up until the release, but also you probably did this for Gemini 2.5 as well. There's quite a jump between 2.5 and 3.
Yes.
And I mentioned kind of the UI capabilities. What other things are you seeing while building those demos that folks should like maybe take a look again? Maybe they tried on 2.5 and it didn't really work for them. It's like, nah, this AI thing doesn't work. It's all a bubble. What other things people should like retry or try that you notice that like it's much better?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I think we've been playing with 2.5 Pro for the longest time, and I think one of the challenges with working with 2.5 Pro back then was like, you have to think through, what are you going to do in the system instructions to improve design? What are you going to do in the system instructions to improve animations? And now suddenly, when we started using the early checkpoints of 3, it just had out of the box amazing design, amazing thing without system instructions. And so we were like, wow, this, the leap was felt immediately. But what people should try, I think, landing pages and website design is incredible. Definitely try that. I think it's also just really good at creative writing. So if you wanted to do better copy for your websites or better copy for your applications, things like that, really good at that. And then 3D games, it's really good at 3D games. I was going to say,
you're missing your favorite, Ammar.
My favorite, I saved it for last. The best for last, but it makes amazing games. And because it can also draw the sprites and shapes as well. You can get, so I don't know if you remember that Levels.io, like
the flight simulator. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and it took weeks, and and it was building on it week by week, hours and hours. This was a one-shot prompt with Gemini 3. You could just say, make a 3D flight simulator game, use 3JS, and suddenly you have it. So games, phenomenal at that stuff as well.
Yeah. And I think one other cool example that we have in AI Studio, in addition to the sort of 3D world building, is combining that with the world knowledge. So we have one example where you have 1,000 blocks or n number of blocks, and you see all the different shapes you can create within that constrained environment.
Yep.
And I love that example because it shows just how smart the model is, and being able to apply it in 3D building scenarios is super cool as well.
Yeah. I want to talk about the other modality that I think AI Studio has a little bit, which is talking, talking to my computer. Live coding with just like, hey, do this. Now, there's an interesting thing there. First of all, across foundational labs, voice is becoming more and more of the way that maybe non-coders talk to their AI, just because they're driving or they're cooking or whatever, and they're just like, hey, well, look, how long do I boil an egg? This is my use case. But also, I think for vibe coding, it's very interesting because there is some time that you wait for something, and the approach, the use case is almost asynchronous to an extent. You were talking about agents before. You were able to like jungle a bunch of agents just because it takes time for one. So you're like, okay, I can switch context as a human, whatever. Where do you guys think that like the conversational piece comes into vibe coding? Does it help? I know there's some models that Google is releasing and some models that like with native understanding. Is that coming to any point to AI Studio at all? Will I be able to talk? Am I exposing your future roadmap, Kat? Like, what's going on?
You can do it right now.
Oh no!
Yeah, you can do text-to-speech microphone input. It won't talk to you back. It'll text output back.
I see,
but we have some prototypes of talking to you back.
We have some prototypes.
But yeah, I think what's particularly cool about the vibe coding kind of text-to-speech scenarios is I think often I'll have a really clear idea in my head and exactly, I can picture what I want, and to write that all out just always feels heavyweight to me. So we call it Yap to App, where we can just talk into the microphone and say, on screen 1, I want XYZ to happen. I want the color palette to look like this, screen 2. And I think it just helps you bring those ideas to life a lot easier, which is why I love it. But
yeah, no, I echo all of that. And I think the other cool thing about this is going to be, now that you have these agents that can understand the browser, like the Anti-Gravity one, can I talk to it in real time, make it test something in real time and say, actually, do that again, or I want you to run that. I think that is ultimately the most natural way we want to be able to communicate with our computers. So we're absolutely prototyping things. That's all we can say for now, though.
All right, that's fair.
No, but we're excited.
I think the other thing that we added a couple months ago that was such a fun enhancement was the ability to build with our live API in the AI Studio vibe coding, so you can do those, create apps that take webcam input, that take your microphone input, and talk back to you with the live API. And for me, it felt like the Nano Banana 1 moment where I was like, oh, now there's just infinite more ideas that I can create. So that was a super fun one to play with within the apps you create.
Speaking of, we previously mentioned kind of the improvements in Gemini 3 beyond just understanding code. It's still obviously not AGI is here. It's not taking everybody's jobs away yet. We can talk in another podcast whether it will. The question that I want to ask is like, what some areas of improvement that you guys still see, or still see based on the demos that you have, or the folks that use these tools, that kind of future models we should focus on? Right, so like we obviously know multimodality was a thing for a while, and models were only text, and then they started understanding stuff. What are some areas that people are still needed in this process? Let's just ask it like this.
I think people will always be needed.
We can
I think one of the areas that, again, like we've had so much fun playing with the games enhancements with Gemini 3, but I think the combination with Nano Banana Pro to create game sprites is one that we brought up on the live stream with the Nano Banana team, so we could plug a bit. And I think the opportunity there is around like transparent backgrounds and being able to create these animations. And I think it's similar to the generative UI. It helps you create these generative games that are very dynamic based on user inputs. That's one area that I'm super excited about. What about you, Ammar?
Yeah, I think to your point, I think for games, the sprite generation's big, but then also games usually rely on like game engines, right? So Unity, Unreal, Godot, and so I think having that kind of context would be really important. I think, again, mobile apps is something I love, like playing around with. I think that's another thing that can still do it. I think basically I think the ceiling for code is like still very high, and you can keep going and making code even better. So I think that's definitely one thing. I think the creativity improvements have been significant. But I'm excited for the transparency in Nano Banana once that lands. I think that opens a
we'll
whole.
We'll just keep plugging in all opportunities.
We're letting that team know we love them though.
Shout out to the Nano Banana team. We need transparency. I would love transparent sprites to be able to animate them. Well, folks, it's been an incredible week of releases. Just to super quickly recap them, Gemini 3 Pro has launched. DeepThink also has launched, which is like an incredible thing that it takes a while for people to understand like what to use it for, but it's definitely for the longer research task is quite incredible. Anti-Gravity obviously is just this, I don't know, I think it's a step change in how people talk with agents in their IDEs and kind of moving away from code. So I personally really love it, so shout out to that team as well. And then a bunch of other companies released a bunch of other stuff, and then the release cycle beautifully scheduled where Nano Banana came out just in the middle of our live.
We were teasing on X for a while.
There's a bunch of bananas there. So congratulations to you guys as well. You guys launched a bunch of updates. AI Studio. If folks haven't tried it before, how can they find it? Please tell us. And what is the first thing they should do there?
AI.studio/build. /build. Add /build to it, and then just ask for an app. You can say, let's make an app with Nano Banana Pro, and hit enter. You'll be surprised by the amazing things you can make.
And send us what you built.
Send us what you build. Tag us on X if you have feedback, if you have ideas. Like we love hearing it, and we always pay attention.
Awesome. Thank you guys for joining. This is great, and congrats on the crazy week of releases.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.